Yeah.
Oh no.
Powered by Riverside.
Who's better?
Hey, we back, everybody. Well, at least for another mini episode anyway. How we doing? This is the 4th and 1 podcast. I'm your host, Micaiah, along with my other co-host, Simeon. We're coming to you live from Leaditz, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of the one and only elephant unicorn. It's an elephant that has a horn on top of its head, and it's surrounded by magic fairy dust. You gotta look hard to see it, but it's there. How we doing?
I did not know that about Leaditz. I'm doing okay. When am I posting this?
ASAP.
Okay,
bro.
then I won't.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's a secret for our next mini episode that I'll put in. I'm comfortably just chilling here in my sister's old room. It's not as weird as you might have made it sound. Have a nice setup here, and I'm excited. We actually have.
This is
When me and Micaiah send more than 2 text messages back and forth to each other,
Yep.
you know it's a good topic, and we have one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, we had exactly 0 plans to come on here today and do a podcast. 0. Normally we, do a week in advance. You know, we give each other a heads up. But we're counting down now. We're on the backside of all of our mini-sodes and our break as college football starts in little over a month. And so we're very excited for that.
5 Saturdays after tomorrow till college football.
Yes.
Are you impressed that I knew that?
Yeah, it kind of gave me a boner. Not gonna lie.
Became personal with me.
All right.
Hold on. I have a better one.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go.
You know what? Let's just jump in. We got breaking news, everyone, that just dropped today. Oklahoma and Texas. The University of Oklahoma and Texas are expected to move to the SEC from the Big 12. This is huge news for anyone. Yes, so if you are watching on YouTube or wherever you can get this, watch it. You will see on the screen for Simeon. Simeon's screen is showing the article right now. The original news dropped a few days ago that Oklahoma and Texas had made phone calls about joining the SEC, and today it was announced that they had actually been in talks about joining the SEC for over 6 months, and now they can make that move within a matter of weeks. Now, this would not affect this college football season, I would assume, and it might not even affect next college football season, but I don't know. My guess is that they would move after this season, after the spring sports conclude, as Simeon has now disappeared into the black hole that is the basement, and he's back, and they will be part of the SEC next season, but there are still limited details out there. So anyway, I want to cover a couple of things. What this means for the 2 universities, what this means for the conference, the SEC, and the Big 12, and what this means for college football in and of itself. So, do you got any first thoughts before I jump in here?
Well, here's the thing. No, I'm joking. Sorry, I went with the vote. Yeah, this is stupid. Just hot take there. I mean, I get why they're doing it. They're upset, but that means that all negotiations probably broke down with the Big 12. This also means that Iowa State is effed in the butt. This also means that who else is in? I mean, Kansas State, not that we really care about them, is effed in the butt. Texas,
Oklahoma State, Texas Tech.
Texas, no, they're in the SEC.
Kansas. That might be all.
Well, we can look. They're just kind of screwed over right now, and they're left sitting there. Not Big Lots, you moron.
Big Lots.
They're kind of left there holding the bag.
So let me jump in.
Baylor.
First of all,
sorry.
Baylor's in there. Yeah. So what this means for the universities. First and foremost, Texas and Oklahoma are doing this mainly because of the name, image, and likeness letter, or ruling that is now players are allowed to make money. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to the previous episode of the podcast. It is the one before this one. So go back and listen to that one so you can get caught up here. They are doing it because of that and because the SEC is the premier conference in college football. I used to disagree with that. I thought that the Big Ten and the ACC made a run, but because of the decline of programs like the University of Miami in the ACC, Michigan in the Big Ten, Michigan State in the Big Ten, North Carolina's on the up and coming, but they were down for a while, South Carolina State in the ACC, the SEC is no longer, arguably, it is the best conference in college football. So, of course, two of the more premier programs historically in college football want to join that, and because they want all the high-level recruiting, and it gives them a bigger slice of the pie. Now, Texas and Oklahoma will have to pay $75 million to the Big 12 to leave the conference because that's the TV rights that they agreed to. However, what they're going to get from the SEC is they'll be going to dwarf that, so they'll be able to pay that off and I'm sure have some left over. Okay? Oklahoma, but here's the problem. So the pros, those are the pros. They get more pieces of the pie, they get higher level recruiting, they get to play in the best conference. Cons. For Oklahoma, I'm going to start with Oklahoma because Texas, the programs are in two different spaces. Oklahoma foremost. Oklahoma right now can go through a season probably expecting to have one or fewer losses before the college football playoff. You are now looking at least two because the way the divisions are set up, they're probably going to put them in the West Division, and they're going to have Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and their buddies who left for the Big 12 for the SEC back in 2012, Texas A&M, and that's a whole nother story we'll get into later. Okay, so you're looking at two losses. Now, you're also probably, until Nick Saban retires, not sniffing the SEC championship game because of that as well, and because LSU is already there. In the Big 12, you were almost guaranteed a spot in the Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma has been there 5 straight years, I believe. So there's that. Even with the expanded, people's like, well, it's not big of a deal because of the expanded playoff. Here's the problem with that. They take the 6 highest conference winners, the 6 highest ranked conference winners, and then it's the next 6th highest ranked. So are you really telling me that 2 losses get you within the top 15?
No.
When there are other schools out there, like a Notre Dame, like a North Carolina, Michigan, I still have very little hope, but it's there. Like a Penn State, like an Ohio State, like an Oregon, like a USC, like a UCLA. Chip Kelly's going to turn that program around. You're telling me that 2 losses guarantees you to be in the top 15 and have a shot at the 12-team playoff? I doubt it. Now, and for Texas, the cons, you can't even get through your own conference, the Big 12 conference, which is what most people would agree, which is one of the weaker conferences in college football, without 2 losses. Now you're guaranteed 4 or 5 conference losses, not to mention the non-conference schedule that my guess is the SEC will go to. My guess is the SEC will probably also go to a 10-game, if this happens, a 10-game conference schedule. You're looking at 4 or 5 losses. You're definitely not sniffing the SEC championship game. Even when Nick retires, you still got Lincoln Riley there. You can't even beat the team that you're going to join the conference with. So, to me, this is little risk for Oklahoma with a high upside. For Texas, this is a huge risk with, again, high upside, but where your program's at right now, you probably got 3 or 4 years until you're at the level where Oklahoma is, and then by that point, Oklahoma's going to be way above you.
I think what we have to look at is how this also affects recruiting as well. Like, I'm looking right now. Big 12, like the Big 10, does not have the number of schools in the title. They have 10 schools right now. So now we're down to 8. Okay? So for all the other schools, immediately drop off. Oklahoma was quarterback university, right? 3 Heisman winners in the past, 5 years or something like that. Who was it? Murray, Murray.
Well, three Heisman. You got Baker, you had Murray, and 3 straight years, and then you had Jalen Hurts, who was the second place.
And now you have Spencer Rattler. You had another QB commit, like number 11 overall in this class. The number one QB overall, just commit to them this year. So it affects both ways. It affects all the other 8 schools, and we're going to talk about potential teams that are going to be joining the Big 12, because that's immediately what the Big 12 has to do. They immediately have to go scoop up not 2 teams to replace. You have to go back up to 12. You have to now pick up 4 teams and go back up to 12 and put a conference championship in and hope that you can flip the bird to Oklahoma and Texas for leaving. So that hurts them. Hurts the conference recruiting, but it also hurts Oklahoma, because now, no offense, I don't care who Lincoln Riley is, the kids who want to win aren't going to come to your school. Texas, you're effing screwed, because now you're competing with Texas A&M. Previously, you were competing with them, but you were in 2 different conferences, so the kids who wanted to win had the possibility of going to Texas. Now the kids who want to win, you immediately got rid of all of them. They're going to go to Texas A&M, who's the better Texas school right now, and has the better student life. No offense, okay, we just got demonetized, but yeah, yep. But also, like, it goes both ways.
Yep.
I've heard it both ways. So it's you hurt yourself from a recruiting perspective. Bye. Now you're at like Micaiah said, now you're competing with what? Kansas? Nope, you're competing with what? Missouri? Sorry, I'm going to pull up the Southeast Conference here for a second.
Well, you're competing with Texas.
You're competing with who? Vanderbilt in recruiting for the last place? You see what I'm saying?
Well, not only that, so Lincoln Riley, I mean, so these schools compete with each other regardless, but I get what you're saying. On a conference level, even they're competing. Well, even if you're Oklahoma, if you're Lincoln Riley, now you're competing with Lane Kiffin. Now you're competing with Steve Sarkisian. Yep. Now you're competing with Ed Ogeron, who's an excellent recruiter. Yep. Nick Saban, who his quarterbacks never started a freaking game, getting $1 million from boosters, not boosters, but endorsements through name, image, and likeness. Are you kidding me? Now Oklahoma again is in the better situation, but Listen, I will not be surprised if this is a power play that Oklahoma and Texas are like Big 12. We want more schools because we need to be taken seriously. Because right now, let's look at it. Let's rank the conferences: SEC, ACC, Big 10, and then I would say it's either the Big 12 or the Pac-12, depending on.
Yeah, you can really pick and choose whoever you want to be there.
So this is for, but now let's look at it. I told you what this means for the conference. Great things for the conference. Who doesn't want to watch Oklahoma against Alabama? Who doesn't want to watch Texas against LSU? Who doesn't want to watch
Texas versus Texas A&M? That old rivalry's back.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to watch Lane Kiffin go up against Lincoln Riley, 2 of the best offensive minds in college football? Right? Yeah. Now, Texas A&M has a huge problem with this because they left the Big 12 to get away from Texas. But as you said, A&M has the better coach in my mind, has the better student body and fan base, and has recruited at SEC level, which there is something to be said. There's a difference in recruiting for the Big 12 and recruiting for the SEC.
There really is.
A&M, and A&M.
And by the way, you're taking one of the worst. You're putting 2 teams that are in the worst defensive conference in football, and putting them in one of the best of defensive conferences in football.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the best of defensive conference in football. If you want to go to the NFL for defense, you go to the SEC.
Right.
You're
So again, I'll reiterate.
If it is,
there's a lot of upside, but you're going to have to clear so many hurdles, including the best coach of all time and probably what will go down as the best university run of all time in Alabama. And they're probably going to be in your own division. Now, what does this mean for college football? So it's great for the SEC. It's okay for Oklahoma. It's terrible for Texas. We've covered this. This is just a review.
Yeah.
What does it mean for college football? Well, first and foremost, so it's great for the SEC. It's also great for the Sun Belt Conference in the AAC.
100%.
Let me just tell you, because now the Big 12 is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, the Big 12 has a couple options. So the Big 12 has to either go out and add a whole bunch of teams, add 4 teams, who will be looked at as weaker teams than Oklahoma and Texas, rightly so, or conferences are going to start forming super conferences, and that is the expectation, that because the SEC will now be considered a super conference, in air quotes, that the Big Ten might go out and pluck an Oklahoma State, might go out and pluck an Iowa State, might go out and pluck a Kansas State, or the Pac-12 might go get some Big 12 teams. Or there was talk today in that article you had pulled up at the very bottom that the ACC says that they're trying to get Notre Dame in. Mm-hmm. Plus, they might come to some agreement with the Pac-12 to schedule all non-conference games between those two or form a super conference in and of itself. You're going to see, the expectation is that in 3 to 4 years, there will be 3 super conferences, and that's
well, you
it.
have to.
So now this whole rebranding of the college football playoff is completely out the window. So the idea that it's good for the AAC and the Sun Belt is only good if they keep the current format, because now the AAC, it was on the verge of you can make an argument, is on the verge of being better than the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. In terms of competitiveness, they will definitely be better than the Big 12. Mm-hmm. If they keep going the way they're going, they're going to be better than the Pac-12 team. Mm-hmm. And the Sun Belt with Coastal Carolina and App State and Louisiana, they're on the up and up. Right now the Sun Belt is sitting where the AAC was a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking up. I don't actually think, what conference are you in? You are in the Sun Belt Conference. Okay. Why aren't you showing up there? Oh, there they are. They're in North Carolina. I almost forget where Appalachian State is. Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Big 12 right now, and you're 100% right. You put 14 teams? Hold on, I have it pulled up. You put 16 teams. You put 16 teams into you put 16 teams into the SEC. There we go.
Way to be. Way to work through it.
Listen, man, I'm trying. So
nice.
You put 16 teams in. You're 100% right. That's a super division now, right? Besides
a super conference. Yep.
Besides Vanderbilt and Arkansas, Tennessee, I don't know, Kentucky.
Listen, Arkansas's got a new coach. Tennessee's got a new coach.
Kentucky's been up and coming. I shouldn't make fun of Kentucky.
Kentucky wins 8 games a year.
So all of a sudden that happens. All of a sudden Iowa State's screwed. We talked about this a little bit last year. They are probably immediately. What happens if Oklahoma State and Texas moves? Let's just look at the Big 12 real quick. Sorry, I'm pulling up the Big 12.
So I'm just going to go off the top of my head. If I'm Iowa, if Texas and Oklahoma, and just this is expected to be announced within the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So if I'm the athletic director at Oklahoma State, at Iowa State, I'm getting on the phone with the Pac-12. I'm getting on the phone with the Big Ten, and I'm like, listen, let me join the conference. Listen, Iowa State has a lot to bring. Oklahoma State has a lot to bring to both conferences. Yeah. That would be an upgrade.
If I'm okay, so Big Ten,
Baylor's in there. I keep forgetting about.
Big Ten, and they're coming back after their scandal, which rocked, and RG3 kind of their decline after RG3 left. So Iowa State moves to the Big Ten. That's a no-brainer. Iowa's there. Yep. That's an automatic rivalry game, which would be awesome.
Yep. It is right now. It would just be a yearly thing, which it would be awesome.
It would be awesome. They're going to be in the western part of that conference anyway.
Yep.
They move over there. Kansas goes to Sun Belt, goes to something else. They're
They're
a big school, but nobody
no one
wants them.
cares.
And remember, this is only football, right? Right now, it's only football.
No, it would be all
okay.
sports.
Well, then Kansas might actually end up at like the ACC or something, right? Kansas State could go ACC. Oklahoma State, again, could be you want ACC, could be Pac-12, which would work. All of a sudden, the WAC.
They would do really well in the Big Ten.
Yep, that would work too. We have TCU and Baylor. Those are the two question marks for me.
So again, you have to remember the Big 12 wanted to add UCF and another school from the AAC 4 or 5 years ago now, I believe. And
probably Houston.
And Houston. Yes, thank you. It was Houston and UCF.
Yeah.
And they didn't want any part of it, right? It was voted on that it was that wouldn't be. So, listen, TCU was rumored to be going to the Big Ten at one point. Baylor, they could go anywhere. They got good academics. The problem is you got to go. Most of these conferences, let's put it that way, the Big Ten especially, prides themselves on both academics and sports, which kind of handicaps some schools like in Ohio State that don't put as much emphasis on academics as they do
on just life
sports.
And
Which is fine, and that's what they should do, and more power to you. So Baylor, I mean, they're a smart school, right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, are they smart? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Iowa State's, I would assume, pretty smart. I mean, if you let Iowa in, why not Iowa State?
Right, that's kind of my thought process. The problem you run into is is locations. Like the big people that would get these schools, the big conferences, because you're talking all sports, right? Would be Big Ten, ACC. Those are the two schools.
Yeah.
Maybe the Pac-12 can get some of the Texas schools. I could see like TC because you have Arizona, so it's right there. It's 2 states away, so you could get some of the Texas states to align in the south. You move some schools up to the north. Bing, bam, boom. Your Pac-12. All of a sudden, you're Pac-14 or 16 even, and then all of a sudden, your conference is more legitimate. Do you think they dissolve? Right? We were talking about this over the text message. Do you think they dissolve, or do you think they try to pull in some other schools?
No, they're going to try to pull in from other schools. I just don't see, again, because this is so good for the AAC, why would a Memphis, why would a Houston, why would a UCF, why would a Cincinnati leave the AAC and go to Big 12 when their conference right now is better than, if this happens, is better than their conference. Now the AAC is guaranteed a spot in the playoff. The Sun Belt even.
It's like the TV rights sort of deal now come into play. Right.
So, correct. So it's the TV rights, so it's how much money would they generate. But again, the AAC, they have a little, this is the AAC on ESPN.
Right.
The ABC broadcasts the AAC championship game. It's not like the AAC is getting no.
Well, they can immediately renegotiate a contract, which is if you're the AAC, in order not to lose any teams at the Big 12, who probably has a better contract right now than you guys, you immediately have to go to ESPN and Fox.
Which again,
NBC,
you go immediately
CBS.
to Fox, to ESPN, to wherever, and you'd be like, do you want the trash in the Big 12?
Or
do you want our conference that has Memphis high scoring, UCF high scoring, Cincinnati good defense, and ranked number 6 last year? Come on.
I mean, we look, UCF, the AAC was always on the outside looking in, and they've done a really good job. Right teams, good coaches, good schools, good drafting,
good recruiting, good offense.
So
okay,
I mean, we looked at
defense.
and it's nice. It's rotating. We had UCF for a couple years. We had University of Cincinnati last year. Memphis was on the outside. Houston was that 1 year. It looked really good. Did it just add?
Temple was in there 1 year. Temple made a bowl game with Blake
and
Bortles.
Tulane used to be an SEC school which is interesting. Not that it really matters, but
listen, Tulane.
And look at this. We already have an Oklahoma school, so all of a sudden, maybe Oklahoma State be like, you know what? We're going to go join the ACC, the AAC, and that's huge, right? If they want to,
yeah.
But you also get the question marks for the other schools, right? BYU, Liberty. Those are the two names that are up there, right? You also have, you have the UCFs. Those are the two names that are up for grabs right now. They're the Las Vegas,
the BYU and Liberty.
They're the Las Vegas of schools right now, because if you're the Big 12, both are in your region. Virginia and Utah are in your region, and I can go grab you. I will bend whatever rules in order to make sense. I mean, it's Texas. It's a Christian school in Texas. It would make sense for Liberty. Latter-day Saints, whatever.
Again, then you get into the BYU and with the Mormon Church, and you got a whole bunch of stuff.
Baylor and TCU are both private Christian schools, technically.
No. I understand, but people have offered BYU to join the conferences before, and because of BYU's religious background, it has stopped them before. Now, will this stop them now with the new college football playoff, with things expanding into super conferences? Will they look different? Maybe. They're getting higher draft picks now. They just had a quarterback drafted out of there. They had a pretty good season. Listen, Notre Dame, though, no one's talking about this. Notre Dame's got to get all the way into the ACC.
They're going to. There's no way they won't. They already play basketball. They're already fully affiliated with basketball. They're already fully affiliated with baseball. It's just
they played last. They played
last year so that they could play football. If they are not in, it would be a stupid move. Like by the ACC, like you put another powerhouse, and all of a sudden, for Notre Dame, you legitimize your football again. Like, no offense, your football hasn't been legitimate, especially after Clemson went and took a doo-doo on your face. Like,
well, right after every time you get in a big game in the postseason, you lay a giant egg, whether that be in the playoff against Alabama multiple times, in the playoff against Clemson multiple times, in the ACC championship game against Clemson last year. It's every time you're in a big game. Now, listen, the Notre Dame brand, it's going to do what it's going to do. They got rights to NBC, but I honestly don't know the outlook of the college football moving forward, because there will be a rush to form super conferences
100%. And here's
to compete with the SEC.
Here's the deal, right? Liberty is right in that ACC powerhouse. You need two teams to make everything balanced. It makes sense. If you're letting in the Catholic school, you might as well let in the crazy conservative Christians. Like,
or if you really want to get jiggy with it, why don't you just go pluck a UCF? You're right there in Florida.
I mean, Appalachian State, North Carolina, they're great.
And if you're the Big Ten, why don't you reach out to Cincinnati? That Luke Fickell's got that program.
And here's a good Coastal Carolina and University of Luffy, the Raging Cajuns. Okay, and these aren't small schools, by the way. They're they can pay. They're fine.
Sorry, that was my eyes.
You're good. They have the money. Their endowments are big enough that they can handle spending a little more to make a lot more. And the current poachers, the Sun Belt got to watch out, because they have 3 teams that will get plucked in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah. And could it be plucked literally by any conference?
Literally, because I think Coastal Carolina looked good enough and has been getting more serious just in football that I think, and if the fact that their coach stayed, that I'm just like, all right, Myrtle Beach, that means good recruiting ground. Yeah, like it'd be like a good recruiting ground. If you're in South Carolina, South Carolina
turf,
hasn't been
great fans.
Yeah, South Carolina hasn't been legitimate. Yeah, since whenever.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, you can easily compete in the ACC. You can easily compete in whatever conference you want, as freaking the FCC, if they want to make it 20 teams, why not? They would get run over in the SEC. Don't get me wrong, but
I legit. Well, they would get run over for the first couple of years, but again, you have a good recruiter.
Yeah.
Now you have we're in the ACC. Why would you go to North Carolina when you can come to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, where all the girls hang out in bikinis on the beach, and now we're just having fun. Yeah. We're going to party a little bit. You're going to get endorsement monies. Yeah. You're going to do this. You're going to be able to buy convertibles. Right. Why don't you come down here to our cool turf field? Right. And now things are humming.
The AAC could also, they're at 11. They could put 12 and all of a sudden have a conference game, right?
Yep.
Literally.
Well, they do have a conference game.
Well,
already.
Yeah, but now they have a more legitimate conference game. Watch the F out. You know who this actually hurts the most?
Who?
Boise State.
Boise State missed its opportunity. Boise State should have tried to jump in on the Big 12 a long time ago when they were humming and rolling with Kellen Moore back in the in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. Like you listen, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Boise's, like, that whole Mountain West Conference is kind of on the outside looking in. Listen, if I'm North Dakota State, now is the right time to look to make a move and make a jump.
Forget about the SEC. That entire James
Madison. South Dakota State.
North Dakota and South Dakota. Minnesota. Youngstown State. Like, do FCS schools now start knocking on the door being like, listen, we're cheap. We're going to be cheap to buy into the conference. But listen, our upside is huge. You're telling me North Dakota State in that rockin' arena with your history and your recruit, like, you're going to be able to recruit anyone. Yeah. You get the top level FCS recruits now. Now you're going to be able to get mid-level. But here's the thing. So if you're North Dakota State, you look to make the jump to like the Big 12, right? But that doesn't help the Big 12 because that's not sexy. Well, I think it is. But it is for the year. Here's how it would be sexy, okay? For the Big 12. They make the jump and they run over everybody. That's the only way it'd be sexy. Because now all of a sudden the new kid's in town, and holy crap, the small kid just outgunned everybody. And now all of a sudden it's competitive again.
The small kid took the super soldier serum and is now throwing shields at everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And that's how it is. To be fair, also 2017, the Las Vegas Bowl. They beat Oregon in 2017, Boise State. Boise State could still move. They just got their new coach from. He was the defensive coordinator at Oregon for a year before he was at Boise State, and then he went to Oregon, and then he came back.
So listen, Pac-12. Do you try to go get Boise?
Someone needs to.
Like it's right there. Washington State is literally a stone's throw away from Boise. Yeah. Might as well just go get them.
Someone needs to get Boise. Let me talk to Boise for a second, okay?
All right. You talk to boys. You talk to your boys from Boise.
Listen, hold on. I need to turn them.
It became personal with me.
Boise, Idaho. You look like a finger, okay? You have one national highway. It goes up, okay? You have a place that's basically Washington State, okay, in your state. Idaho, I think, sucks so much that it went back to the FCS, okay? Listen.
We're pretty sure.
It's either that or Wyoming. But,
either way, both sides.
Okay, you border Wyoming, okay? Listen, you're beautiful. I love you. Let the bluegrass go. You gotta let him go. At this point, it's failure to launch. You gotta let him be free. You gotta let him smoke a little pot, maybe in the Pac-12. Okay, you gotta let him go rough it up and run and gun in the Big 12. You gotta let him go. That is my open letter to Idaho.
What? Well, they wouldn't be leaving Idaho. That sounds like an open letter to the Mountain West. Okay, all right. This is why we're the worstest podcast.
But also,
on the internet.
they for some reason they seem like they want to say small time.
Yeah,
they have the record. They have the recruiting ground.
Go
Go
big.
big. Go big.
Time.
Okay, in the history of the world, besides the early 1900s, okay?
Yep.
No, I'm not even going to say Reconstruction after World War II. Besides the Roaring 20s, now is the time to go big or go home.
Well, it is now time to go big or be left in the dark.
100%.
Like, everyone is
football,
going big. Don't get me wrong. There will be super conferences. If Texas and Oklahoma make this jump, which, again, could just be a bargaining tool. I'm praying and hoping it's just a bargaining tool and just leverage to get the Big 12 to get some schools in there or do whatever Texas and Oklahoma want the Big 12 to do. There will, if they make the jump, there will be super conferences. There will be 3 or 4 or maybe 2 or maybe just 1. Maybe everyone's just going to join the SEC and then we're just going to have regular college sports again. But anyway, there will be 3 or 4 super conferences. Each conference has like 20 to 25 teams. They're all duking it out. But then there's a fly, buzzing, shoo fly, don't bother me. But then you're going to run into the same thing. It's going to be the exact same teams all over again. It's going to be the Georgias. It's going to be the Ohio States. It's going to be the Clemsons. It's going to be the Alabamas. It's going to be the Oklahomas. Okay, we had such a good thing going, and now Oklahoma and Texas, you just had to go and take a big doo-doo on everything. We were finally going to get some balance. We were finally going to include the smaller conferences in the playoff, which is what we've been begging for. We were finally going to allow 2 and 3 loss teams that have gotten hot at the end of the year in the playoff. But no, now you got to make the jump, and now they're going to have to redo the whole college football playoff again to include the top 10 or 12 most ranked teams instead of the conference champions, which would be dumb because it'll be 8 SEC schools, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame when they finally get their act together, and then pick any random school from the Pac-12. Are you kidding me? It's going to be it all over again. I'm so fed up with it already, and it hasn't even happened. So Texas, you know what? I was mad on the subject. I've changed my mind. Texas and Oklahoma.
Number 1.
That's where I'm at. Because they messed up.
I'm 100%. I'm in agreement with you. I just haven't been as. It's a stupid decision by you guys. The only thing you get out of this is more money, and you're 2 of the most lawyer donor bases besides Alabama in the country.
Well, Texas doesn't even have to do it because they got oil money. Texas has old white people.
No, that's what
and
I'm saying.
Oil money.
Besides Princeton, Yale,
and Harvard.
Okay? Then you go Texas, Alabama, and then probably Oklahoma when it comes to the most loyal alumni.
Yeah.
It's maybe old, but no. But I could go find the endowments right now and 100% prove my point. It's
Paul Finebaum's like, this is great for college football.
Yeah, you're
like,
happy
no,
because you suck the knob of every SEC school that comes into your studio. You're an old man who likes to get his rocks off to all them Southern young girls. Okay, Paul Finebaum, get the F out of here. You're old. Just go die. So.
Whoa. I would like to take back all of what Simeon said and just add it back on a lesser point, on a less harsh tone and less harsh wording.
Listen, this is
Continue.
This is what people say about me. Not my take on Paul Finebaum. Okay. More, and I even have.
Paul Finebaum does love the SEC.
He likes them a little bit too much, where it becomes a question mark. Where's the flip? Oh, here it is.
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
So this mini-sode is going on 40 minutes now. So,
okay.
So
I'm done with.
So let's talk about the other breaking news that happened. So it's going to be a wait and see. Let's talk about the other breaking news. Thank you for turning that down.
Sorry, that was really loud.
The Cleveland Indians are no more after this season.
I honestly thought that the Washington football team was going to change their names before the Cleveland Guardians now. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah, so the Cleveland Indians are going from the Indians to the Cleveland Guardians, and people are roasting them on Twitter because if you look at the logo and the color scheme and how they spell Guardians, like the what do you call that?
Stylized.
Like the style in writing, it is the exact same thing as the Indians. Like they changed nothing but the name, basically.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of the point. Like Washington did a good job by changing.
Don't click on the CNN link or the Fox News.
Yeah, I was just showing the.
All right.
The change.
But anyway, also they stole basically Thor's helmet. Click on the
This
click
one?
on the yep. You got it. For any of you watching on YouTube, you're going to see the logo appearing on the screen right now. If you're not, well, go Google it. Google the Cleveland Guardians.
They did change. They did change their stylizations. They added.
Well, the C.
Yeah.
Which is what they are right now, looks exactly the same. The Cleveland looks exact. Cleveland is spelled exactly the same. Guardians in the cursive is spelled in the exact same format as Indians. All right, look it up. Here we go.
It's the block C.
To what? A block C?
No. So you see, okay. We have to teach Micaiah some graphics arts here. Okay.
Okay.
So we have right now. Here's the Indians. Right. We'll go back here. Here's Cleveland. Okay. You can see more slants.
All right.
Okay.
God, this fly. I'm gonna punch a bitch.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm gonna punch a bitch with this fly.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm not even sorry.
This is more like, I would say, Gothic. There's more like vaults.
Okay. No. Okay. I didn't look closely at that one. I will give it.
Here's the C.
So,
right.
Yep.
And now we'll go over here again.
Oh, okay. All right. It's close enough, though, that they're just...
you know the meme? That's like, yeah. It's like, hey, can I borrow your homework? We'll change it up so it doesn't look the same.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Just make it slightly different so we don't get in trouble. That's exactly what it is.
Now I have to look at the...
and then go to the Guardians thing.
Oh, yeah. This one is stupid AF.
Yeah, so I hate that moniker, but no, go back to the other picture.
This one's going off...
Guardians.
Hold on. This one's going off of... Goodyear. The Goodyear wings.
Well, either that or Thor's helmet.
Well, it looks like Thor's helmet. They should have just gone with the Goodyear, which would have been a cool homage to Cleveland.
But then click on the Guardians.
This still looks...
And now go back to the Indians
This
thing.
still looks racist to me.
How does that... Like, yeah, it's the exact same thing as the Indians spelled out. The Guardians spelled out is like the same thing.
They should have flattened this at least, right? It's still like at like a 13-degree angle or something like that.
Right. The color scheme I completely understand, but I texted my buddy who is big into MLB, and he said this was the most minimal effort thing they could have done.
100.
Like the name Guardians and the scheme and the style change is the minimal effort they could have done, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Spend the least amount of money to make the biggest amount. We just spent 40 minutes talking about that.
I'm seeing a lot of people who wanted spiders. Like I'm reading the Twitter comments here. I love this one. It's a no for me, Chief, and then you can't say
someone
Chief.
Came up with those graphics. Oh, that was fire!
Here's somebody who actually agrees. They still blew a 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
They just trying to.
But the Guardians of the Galaxy. There you go.
Is this actually? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, with the Cleveland hat on. So, also, why would you do this mid-year? Announce it at the end of the year, because now, as a fan, I'm expecting you to come out tonight, step on the field in a whole bunch of Guardian gear, and if you don't, what is the PA announcer going to say? Get on your feet and cheer on your Cleveland Indians. They're still shitty.
Sorry, Mom.
There's this gif of two people making a baseball field and it says, doesn't matter, they're still shitty. Which, is true.
Let's look at the... Yeah, see, that's
dope.
This is kind of cool, too. I like the spider web with the...
I like that.
Like, you could have even done it, like, Gothic with the spider web, like what they had.
You could have done black and
Yeah,
white.
here's
Here's
a good one, too.
That, right there.
Yeah.
If you don't watch us on YouTube, please go find us on YouTube. We are at the 4th and 1 podcast.
Yeah.
So 4th and 1 podcast. You got to add the podcast. And people tell me all the time, I can't find your podcast. Well, because you just Google 4th and 1, where you search 4th. We are 4th and 1 podcast.
There is a link.
Anchor FM. Yes, there are links to everything in Anchor FM. There's a link in both my Instagram and Simeon's
just yours.
Instagram. Oh, just mine. Okay. Well, Simeon's not on the bandwagon yet. He doesn't listen to the podcast. Neither do I. I just speak. There's a link in on my Instagram. I am at ICU. Those are the individual letters. Wolverine.
That one is
Michigan
linked
fan.
on anchor.fm/4th and 1.
Yes. Go get it. We are also on Spotify. If you search 4th and 1 podcast and add the podcast in there, we will come up, because I've done it many a times from many different people's phones. Everyone finds us. You just have to add the podcast in there. So the Indians suck.
Yep.
Oklahoma sucks. Texas sucks. Big 12 is going to suck. SEC
Paul Finebaum
is good.
sucks.
Paul Finebaum sucks. SEC's great.
Yep.
And college football.
And the
I'm still gonna
AAC
watch
is
it.
the
And the
most
AAC
excited people in the world right now.
The AAC's like dun 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 dun.
I'd like to take this chance to
That's the
apologize
ACC.
Exactly.
to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
It's excellent. I do just want to give everyone an update here. We are planning on coming back. Well, he doesn't know this, so Simeon's hearing this for the first time. Listen, we're planning on coming back the week 0 in college football is the 28th.
Be very excited.
We're planning on doing a show that week.
Yeah.
That will be our first full big podcast, and then we will again get back to weekly stuff. We'll probably, as this story develops, we'll probably make more mini-sodes. And then once college football gets rolling here on the 28th and then the 4th, we're going to be weekly. We're going to be doing our hour to our hour and a half shows as normal.
And again, go ahead and follow Micaiah. He'll be posting daily stuff, I'm sure.
About this, I will follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube. We comment in the sections below. Send us DMs, what you do, what you don't like about these podcasts. Give us a like on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Listen, we'll make content as long as you guys want it. And
even then, some probably won't. We'll probably still make content. Where's the... I don't know. I'm sure it will come out. Or it won't. Who knows? 100%. It's all going to be on anchor.fm/4th and 1. Just go there. There you go. Water Scouts.